Hello, crafty friends. I'm Doreen DeCebus with It Begins with Ink and Paper, and welcome to Simply Stamping Sunday. And it's our last Sunday of the month, so that means Fun Fold Simply Stamping Sunday, my favorite week of the whole month for Simply Stamping Sunday. So this is the last week we're going to be using the Perfectly Pears Stamp Set. I have had a lot of fun with it, and as I was getting ready for this, I realized I've used almost the entire package of the designer series paper. I'm going to have to order another one. Well, I've already ordered it. I just have to wait for it to come in. So tonight I'm using what I have left. So we're going to be repeating some patterns, and that's okay, because all of the cards are a lot of fun. I am adding a little sneak peek. I'm going to be using Big Hugs for a Good Friend from the Peace on Earth stamp set. This is going to be coming in the new mini catalog that will be coming out in September. And it comes with this beautiful embossing folder. It's a 3D embossing folder. I hope you can see the design on it clearly. And it also comes with some dies. So this is going to be a fun set to use with you as time goes on. I'm going to set that aside. I'll set aside our Perfectly Pears, and let's get started. So I have 3 fun folds for you tonight, and my cheat sheet where I have all of the measurements. All right, so the first one, this fun fold is going to focus on a large piece of designer series paper, and most of our fold is going to come from this. So this piece measures 5 1/4 by 12 inches, and I've scored it at 4 inches and 8 inches. And what I'm going to do first is just fold. Let me find my bone folder right where it should be. So I'm going to fold on those crease marks. Hi, Lynn. And it creates a trifold card. And I'm going to fold it over to make sure that it folds nicely and I don't need to trim anything. So there's the base of our card, right? I also have some things that I've cut out of the designer series paper. 2 of the sheets I have left are is a piece of designer series paper that you can cut all the images out of. The dies will work with it, but I hand cut all of these. So I'm also going to use a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece of Mossy Meadow, excuse me. And I have a 2 1/4 by 2 1/4 piece of Mossy Meadow as well. And then I have some basic white, and my first piece measures 2 by 2, and this piece measures 3 3/4 by 5. Okay, so let's get started. So this card, oh, let me show you the card. Where did I put all 3 of the cards? Oh, here they are. So let me show you the card first. This is the card we're going to be making. We're going to do some folding. I guess you could say this card is an origami-inspired fun fold. So hi, Lynn. Thanks for joining from steamy New Jersey. It wasn't steamy here today. It was rainy all day. And hi, Barbara. Thanks for joining. So this is kind of like, as I said, an origami-inspired fold. So when I open it, I've put a pear inside. And when I open this side, you'll see on this kind of fun fold I have over here, it is enough room to put a gift card in. So that makes it kind of a special fun fold. So let me show you how I did my folding. So the first thing I'm going to do is try to fold these so the center meets, but I want to turn my fold. So even though I have a point here, I want my folds to be off center a little bit. So let me just take my bone folder and burnish those edges. And then what I'm going to do is take a thing of dimensionals, and let me grab one. And I'm going to put a dimensional under each of these corners just to hold the fold up, and to also, keep it in place. So it will pop it up a little bit and keep it in place. Okay, now I'm going to open up to the other side. I'm going to turn my card this way again. And again, I'm going to be folding this, trying to get it as close to the center as possible, and to have these even, come down as close as I can to a point, and I'll use my bone folder to burnish those. But I want those edge pieces to come together like that and be even across here. Now I'm going to open this back up, and I'm going to fold in so that the point is going to meet the score line that I just made. And do the same on this side. And so when I fold it together, they're going to come together like this V. So I hope you can see that. I'll hold this right here for a second. Now the next part that I'm going to do, so that we have a really nice place to put our gift card, is I'm going to fold this so it's just a tad higher than the top edge of this, and I'm going to give it another really good crease. And there we have it. So what I'm going to do to kind of hold this in place, I don't really need to do it, I just like to do it to make sure it's going to hold in place, is I'm going to just put a little bit of adhesive, maybe. There we go, inside, so when I fold this up, it's going to hold on to that edge. And this will fit a gift card right in and hold it in place. Okay, so now all we have to do is our decorating, and then that's what it looks like on the front. I love that part on the front especially. Okay, so on the inside, I am going to be adding that larger piece of white, so I have a place to write my greeting or my sentiments. So that will go in the center. And then I'm going to, let me just get my silicone mat out. I'm going to put together this pear. Grab my glue. Just going to put a little dot right here on the top. Now, like I said, on this particular piece of designer series paper, it will, the dies from the bundle will cut all of these images out on this one piece of paper. But I fussy cut them out, which was easy to do. And I cut around all of the leaves. In the cards that we're going to make, I had decided after cutting this one out, you can see there's a lot of detail to cut on this one. I kind of decided to cut it down and not cut this top stem out. So you're going to see some of them cut out a little differently. All right, so this is ready to go on the inside of the card. So I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive. And we'll just put that right here. There we go. on the inside of the card, I'm going to take two of the flowers I cut out and kind of clip them a little bit together. I'm going to be putting them over each other just to give you that floral image inside. There we go. There we go. So we have some flowers on the inside. Now I can close this and let's decorate the front. So I was thinking with this coming to an edge like this, it'd be kind of fun to put a diamond right over in that. So you still see kind of the flaps coming out. It looks kind of like a bird or a paper airplane. And I ended up only putting adhesive in the upper and bottom. Corners to hold this in place. I'm matching this corner right up with that. So there's that on the front. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp my thank you in Mossy Meadow ink. Of course, Barbara, you can copy this. That's why I do these videos, so that I give you ideas and things that you can do with the stamp that I'm choosing for the month. So now I'm going to add this with dimensionals. I'm going to put this on first. Just add some adhesive. And then this will just be centered on that piece of Mossy Meadow with the thank you right there. And then, like I said, I'm just going to add some dimensionals to our pears. And I'm going to add some pieces. Grab my scissors over here. And I'm cutting some of the edge in half to put on the leaves. There we go. Because I want the leaves to pop up too. I don't want them to be, I don't want them to get bent over when the card is mailed. So I'm just adding a little piece of dimensionals to these leaves, and I might have to cut a little piece off. We'll see, because I don't want them to stick out, and they do on these two. So we'll just take care of those edges. That way they won't stick out. Okay, so let's just get these backings off and our first card will be made. So it's a lot of fun to make these trifolds when using the designer series paper. The only advice I'll give you is that when you find some, you're going to see that they make the whole card the height, the 5.5 inch height. And my suggestion to you is that you cut it at 5 1/4 like I did, so that you can then put it on a piece of cardstock, and that is going to give you a little more stability than just putting it on, just keeping this as the card. So I cut this piece 4 1/4 by 5.5 and just made it a 1/4 inch different, And now we have this nice sturdy background, and we have our fun fold that includes a gift card holder. Okay, there's card number 1. Let's put that aside and go to card number 2. Now this card I saw on Patty Bennett's blog, and I was inspired by it. Let me grab that one. So this is what it looks like. It's an accordion fold. I used the stamp from the first set I showed you, the sneak peek, the Peace on Earth set, and it opens like this. And when it stands, you're going to see that it stands like this. Kind of makes a W fold, but that's a sign of course, that's a sign of an accordion fold. And if I hold it down like this, now you're probably wondering, okay, where do we write any greetings? Well, I decorated the back as well. So that is what our full card looks like. I will put the link down to Patty's YouTube channel where I saw the video. So what do we need for cardstock? We're going to need a half a sheet of the Petal Pink cardstock. I was going to make the card, with this paper, but realized I didn't have enough, so I'm using the same paper I used last time. So this measures 5.5 by 8.5, and I scored it. I'm just going to make sure it's scored correctly because I made a little mistake on the last when I was making my sample. It is scored at 2 1/8, 4 1/4, and 6 3/8. I'm going to start putting all the different papers on it. So for the front, I have 4 sheets of paper that measure 2 by 5 3/8, and I thought, let me see, I kind of mixed them all up, I think. I thought they matched, but maybe they don't match. Let's just take a look. Okay, those two go together, so these two must go together. Yes, they do. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is just put these on the front of the card. So now I have it where I've got the pieces that are going to be matched together, and I'm just going to add some adhesive. So I'm using the paper with the Petal Pink background instead of the yellow background. And these just fit on, so it's going to be a close fit. There we go, and yes, this one's next. Now this is a type of card that if you are going to write a big message on it, you are going to want to do that before you put the whole card together. So I would suggest you, on your white panels, that you write them out before you put them on and before you finish putting the card together. Okay. So there's that part. Now I'm going to go to the back side. And again, I have 4 basic white panels that measure 2 inches by 5 3/8. They're exactly the same size as the Designer Series paper on the front of this card. Now if you're using the Petal Pink paper, like I am, you probably could get away with not having these white panels on the back and just write on the cardstock. but again, right on the cardstock before you put the front part together. And that should work as well. I like the finishing touch of adding the white to the back of the card. But there is no place to write on the front of the card. Okay, so those panels are on. So to take a look at this, I used one flower over here, one of the double pairs, and 2 flowers underneath it. So I have those already cut out. So I'm going to put one right over here. And then I'm going to put these other 2 at the bottom of the panel across. And I'm just going to layer them on each other like that. Now, I don't know if you noticed, I used dimensionals on the back of this pair, on the back side. And the reason I did that is that if I now put this on, it looks kind of funky if I just tape it down, because I've added some height here. So that's why I'm using the dimensionals again. I'm going to do the same thing with the leaves, but I only have 3 because I cut one of the stems off with leaves. So I'm going to cut these little side pieces in half so that I have enough to put on the leaves. And I can't see anything, so that's a good sign. So we'll get all these dimensional backings off, putting them in my little bucket, and then I will put the pairs on this panel. So now that part is all done of the card, everything we need. So I am going to fold this as it's meant to be folded based on how I scored it, and then I'm going to refold it in the way it needs to be for the card. This way I'm not going to crack any of the cardstock. And then what I'm going to want to have happen is for it to go this way. So the V is going to be inside. And then these will go this way. So that's the way the card's going to stand. All right, let's go to our next part. So now I have a piece of Lemon Lolly cardstock that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and on the 5 1/2 side, I have scored it at 2 3/4, and I'm going to fold and burnish that piece, and then I'm just going to open it again. And then I have a piece of Designer Series paper that measures 4 by 5 1/4. And I have a spot where I can stamp right on it. And I'm going to want to make sure that I'm stamping on one side of it, or right in the middle, so it's going to show in the curve. On this one, I had room to stamp it over on the left side. It wouldn't have fit over here. this one I have a couple of choices. So I'm going to stamp with the Secret Sea ink because we've got some Secret Sea leaves here, and I think I'm going to try to stamp more over here. So we'll take out our ink and our stamp, and I'm going to try to center that. There we go. And then I'm going to put this, I'm going to layer this right onto the piece of Lemon Lolly cardstock. Trying to pull from some of the yellows. And then I'm going to take this and I am going to fold it and burnish it. So there we go. Now, on this, I'm going to add my Stamp and Seal to the inside. And here's what I want you to think about when you go to make this card. If I measure this, this measures just 2 1/8 inch wide. And I want this to be able to go in a regular envelope. So if I'm thinking about that, when I go to put this on, I want to make sure that I'm not going way past the envelope. I want it to fit in a regular envelope. So I am going to put this on pretty lightly. I'm not going to press it all the way down. And make sure it's even at the top and the bottom or close to it. And then check my envelope, and I can see that that's going to work fine. So I'm going to just press that down on both sides. And now I have this fun fold all done. So that's what it looks like from the top. That's what it looks like from the front. And that's what it looks like from the back. So some really fun folds. All right. So we're done with card number 2, and we just have one more card left. Okay, so I've already pre-cut out of that sheet of designer series paper 2 large pears, a small pear, and 2 stems. So what do we need? Let me get everything out. I'm using a piece of the thick basic white cardstock, and what I am going to be making is this card here, and this label is holding down this panel. When I open it up, I see a whole quarter sheet of designer series paper, but I have a little peek of some designer series paper in here. And when I open it this way, I've got more designer series paper here, a strip going down here, a little decoration on the inside, and plenty of room to write. If I wanted to have more space, I could leave one of these or panels off to give me more space to write. So again, when I go to close this, this panel is going to go right under that to keep the card closed. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with this. So I have a piece of 4 1/4 by 11 inch piece of thick basic white, and I have scored it at 2 3/4 and 8 1/4. In other words, 2 3/4 on both sides. I'm going to fold these over. And I'm just looking to see if I have a card. I made another one of these, and of course I put it away. Oh, no, it's right here. So I'm showing this sideways, but you can also do it vertically. This is the card I first made before I made this one. And so I have, at the thinking of you, I just cut some designer series paper out. This tag is holding this flap down, and then it opens up like this. And again, this will go right under. So pretty. Okay, so I'm going to take those two ends and give them a good burnishing. It's folding just like it's a gatefold card. All right, so now I'm going to start on the inside. So I have these two pieces of paper. They're just the other side of the designer series paper, and these each measure 2 1/4 or 2 1/2, 2 1/2 by 4. So let me put these pieces down. So one is going to go here, and one is going to go on the other flap. I have a third one that measures the same, that's going to be going on the front, and it's just a different piece of designer series paper. Then I have a piece that I believe is 3/8 of an inch. Let me just check. Nope, it's 5/8 of an inch, just over 1/2 an inch. And I'm going to be putting it right down here. And I'm going to cut just a little bit. I measured it 5 1/2, but I want it to fit in between those score lines. So to do that, it has to just be maybe a 1/16 of an inch smaller than 5 1/2 inches. So 5 7/8 of an inch. And I'm going to have this match the border, the white border of these two pieces. Then the other thing that I'm going to be doing on the inside is I'm going to be adding this set of pears right there. And that means that the inside of our card is all done. This is a really easy fold. So now we're going to work on the outside. So on this side, I'm going to be putting this piece of designer series paper. I chose to not use the designer series paper from the inside because it was just so light. I wanted a dark contrast to this piece of paper. So this piece of paper is now going to go on this side of the card, and I only want to adhere it to this panel. So I'm going to just add my adhesive right on the panel. And then I'm going to line that up, center it from top to bottom. And so when everything closes, it's going to close like that. Okay? We'll still, when we open it, see that beautiful piece of designer series paper. All right, so now let's work on our label that's going to go on the front. And this is also the mechanism that we're going to use to keep the card closed. Okay, so there's, oh, I didn't tell you what these were. So this piece of basic white is 2 1/8 by 3 1/8, and this piece of old olive is 2 inches by 3 inches. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to be putting these pears onto this piece, something like that. I'm going to first add the stems. Now, you might see a lot of people adding their stems to the back of their card. I'm putting it onto the pear. I'm putting it right on the front because there's just this little section that they fit in, and I think it gives it greater depth by doing this. But you can put your stems on the back or on the front. That's up to you. So I'm just going to add this one just with a little bit of glue. I was actually watching crafting videos yesterday while I was cutting this entire sheet of images out. So it was relaxing to do while I was doing that. Now, my two pears, I chose one that's lighter and one that's much darker. I didn't want, and I'll show it on this card, I didn't want a dark pear up against the dark Mossy Meadow cardstock. I wanted to have the lighter pear up against it so that there was a contrast, a better contrast, I guess I should say. So I'm going to start by putting this one down. I'm just going to add some adhesive. This one's going to be the lower one. And then this will be the one that's on top. For this one, I am not going to add adhesive to the leaves. And I'm going to tilt this one a little more, bring it up a little bit. So there we have our pears. And then what I'm going to do is on this little tiny piece of basic white cardstock, which measures 1/2 by 2 inches, I'm going to stamp in the Mossy Meadow the thank you again. I happen to need some thank you cards, so I'm going to stamp over to the left side because I want to cut this into a banner. So I'm just going to trim a little bit off. Just snip in the middle and then go to the corner and cut to where you just snipped. And that gives you that little banner look. And I'm going to be putting this on dimensionals. So 3 will hold it there nicely. And I'm just going to put this right across the pears. Okay, so we need to attach this so that this is going to be held in place. So what I need to do is add dimensionals to this side, or this side here, of my tag. So I'm going to put probably a few extra than I would normally use on a tag this size, because I want to really have it held down. And you can see right now how much of it is sticking up, so it needs to have something that's going to really hold it in place. So it's going to look like this when we're done. All right. I have to say, this has been a really, really fun set to use. I was really torn whether or not to use this as a set for Simply Stamping Sunday, but I have enjoyed every aspect of it. I've enjoyed the paper, I've enjoyed the stamp set, I've enjoyed coloring in, the different edges and, doing even the fun folds. That was so fun as well tonight. Okay, so I want this centered. So I'm going to put that down. Now you can see how it holds that flap right in place. I'm just going to pull this out to open this side of the card. Then I get a whole different look, and then another whole different look when I open the inside. So this is I think a really fun fold. I really like this fold a lot. So that's it for Fun Fold Friday. Let me review what we made tonight. It's not Fun Fold Friday, it's Fun Folds, but it's Fun Fold Sunday. Let me just grab the cards. So we made a Fun Fold gift card holder first. Then we made this Fun Fold that stands so nicely. And then our final card that we made was this Fun Fold. So I hope you enjoyed this month of Perfectly Pears, and I hope I've given you some ideas on ways that you can make beautiful, stunning cards by only using stamps, ink, and paper, because that's my goal. So I hope I have been successful again this month with that. Next month, oh, should I tell you what I'm going to be using? I guess I will. I am going to be using the Prairie Grass Stamp Set. And I haven't made my samples yet because I don't even have the set. It's coming in tomorrow. But I think it will be fun to show you some great backgrounds that you can make just using ink and then using that stamp set. So it's going to be pretty beautiful. So that is going to be for the month of August. And this is the last week of the month. So on Tuesday, I'll be joining you doing Technique Tuesday, and I'm going to be showing you some techniques with an embossing folder. So it's a 3D embossing folder. I'm going to not tell you which one I'm going to use, but it's a 3D embossing folder, and we're going to learn some techniques that you can use with a 3D embossing folder. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. I will be back next Sunday night for our new month of Simply Stamping Sunday. I'll be back Tuesday night for Technique Tuesday, and of course I'll be back on Friday for Fun Fold Friday. Have a great week, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.